Hi guys and welcome, Gdembone here with another episode of Fun Farms, the series where I'm taking one mob at a time and show interesting farms based around some unique game mechanics. So last time we were looking at the witches and today we're coming back to witches again. I knew I'm gonna get comments about why didn't you try Etho's idea of using projectiles to push witches down the platforms. The problem I have with it is I wanted to come up with a design that's totally FKable, hassle-free, etc. Using dispensers would be very awkward to refill it every time you use it, bringing all the arrows to the side, and judging by the rate of witches spawning at the perfect environment, they would be firing constantly, eating tons of arrows in numbers more than the farm can produce other items. Also, last time, despite the theme of 1.9, all the farms were rather classic, glitch-free designs, redstone-heavy solutions to this problem, not 1.9 specific. This time, I'll try to flip it around and show a true 1.9 version of the farm, which would not be backwards compatible with 1.8. Also, my goal is to use less redstone and more game mechanics. To be honest, I'm not opposed to redstone, but less redstone means typically a really cool solution. So let's get started. So as you know, I'm not a fan of dispensers, but I thought let's use another source of arrows in the game, Infinite Source, that you can control to a great extent and mod with extra features. It's our friend Skeleton, which we can supply with any bow we want, is a source of true infinite arrows with infinite bow durability, and we can make him shoot in any direction we want by giving him a proper target. We would also utilize a new /old block in 1.9, which is a trapdoor, which now doesn't need to be attached to a solid block, doesn't even need to be attached to anything, can be pushed by a piston, and allows to create thin walls, vertical slabs anyone, as well as floors that are truly 2 blocks high. And did I also mention that it also provides a flat top surface and prevents mobs from spawning? So let's go straight to the farm itself. On one side we have skeletons, 5 for each platform, placed on a longer edge of the farm. They are supplied with punch 2 and flame bows. How to do it? Just give a skeleton a bow, and if he likes it, he will take it. Otherwise, you can get rid of it. Each skeleton has about 50% chance of being able to pick items, so to collect 15 of them is not an impossible task in survival, especially using invisibility potion. They stay just outside of the area of the witch farm on a spawn-proof blocks with a trapdoor to restrain their position. It wouldn't be possible in 1.8 as trapdoors would need to be attached to a solid block with a solid surface, which would also allow spawns. As this area is dark, soon a creeper would spawn where the skeleton is standing. He would be immediately hit by a skeleton by accident, get aggro and blow up the farm. Then following that, we have a 7 long stretch of the witch farm area, which is followed by 1 wide drop chute. The drop chute is followed by a curtain of 5 blocks of water, which prevents the skeleton target, the iron golems, from being hit, as an arrow cannot travel more than 5 blocks in water. This is then followed with target platforms with iron golems that unfortunately cannot be placed in minecarts, so I had to push them with water streams instead. And that's where I used a little bit of redstone using dispensers with water buckets that alternate, so every time something touches these tripwires, the water changes direction. The use of iron bars on the sides is to allow iron golem hitbox to collide with the full block area hitbox of the tripwire. Even at the edge, Golem is still in the water, so it can be affected by water currents. Golems need to move back and forth to make skeletons sweep the entire area of the farm platforms. Otherwise, with stationary golems, there might be some spots that skeletons could not shoot through. Because of the width of the platform and the 5 wide water curtain required to stop the arrows, I needed to bring golems as close as possible to the skeletons. That's why skeletons are restricted using a trapdoor. Drop chute is separated from the water curtain using a trapdoor wall rather than a full block wall, as well as golems are pushed against the iron bars. You might be saying, why not to use trapdoors here as well to put them even closer? The reason is that if you turn the hitboxes on, you could notice that some arrows actually make it out of the curtain and would be able to hurt an entity that's just next to it. But then they are immediately teleported back to the water stream once they start their free fall down. This doesn't look like an intended behavior, it seems like a bug, but we can live with it by putting golems a tad further from the water stream. This in total allowed to save a few spaces of the width of the farm, allowing skeletons not only to see the golems, but even see them across the diagonal of the farm. Only skeletons in the corners lose sight of the golems once he's on the very opposite side of the farm. The golems are placed one block below the witches and the skeletons, so they are on the same height headwise as the skeletons and can be targeted by them. And here where 1.9 trapdoors are useful for the third time. The golems are 2.7 blocks high in 1.9, so they wouldn't be able to fit in this area if we would use half slabs as the ceiling blocks. However, trapdoors are less than 0.2 blocks high, so we can use them as the ceiling blocks, allowing to stack golems on top of each other, each having its own floor 3 blocks apart. To reduce lag associated with the accumulation of arrow entities, optional step would be to drill the opening below 4th and 5th water curtain block through bedrock to let the arrows go to the void. Without this part, there will be about 300 arrows entities accumulating when the farm is in a full swing, kept under control with a natural despawn timer, so it's not a deal breaker if you cannot break the bedrock. Optionally, one can organize an interesting squid farm by drilling some space down and letting the arrows kill the squids that would spawn in that area. However, it wouldn't work in these settings because of all the water we have around here. The use of punch 2 bows is obvious, as most witches will take just one hit to get pushed out of the platforms. In an unlikely occasion of another witch blocking the way or witch spawning right next to the skeleton, the second arrow would be necessary to push the witch down. That's where the flame arrows come in handy, as an attacked witch would prioritize their own health before turning against the skeleton. They'll need to first drink fire resistance potion as well as health potion before they can attack. And even if attacked by skeletons, they will not die, as an undead mob they will take damage from health potions, not damage potions. I ran this farm for many hours and none of the skeletons disappeared on me. What about the performance of the farm? As you may see, skeletons are quite effective in pushing witches out of the platforms. Also, all the spawning spaces are available all the time for spawning, so we maximize the farm conditions in this regard as well. You may actually notice that in the old shifting floor design, a significant portion of the blocks for a couple of ticks when pushed by a piston turned into block 36, which would not allow mobs to spawn on them, resulting in decreased performance. You might be thinking, but it's only a few ticks, but in practice witches are spawning almost all the time and those ticks add up to create a significant dent in farm performance. I haven't done any scientific testing of this farm as we are still in the snapshots and conditions may change, but I measured the farm performance in the range of 7600 items per hour, which you may notice outperforms even the full shifting floor design I presented last time, which is a very promising result. And it is actually simpler to build in survival than you might think, as you can use invisibility potions throughout the process to make skeletons ignore you, so it's easier to collect them and place in their slots, more or less like in creative. Two more interesting things at the end. First, I was thinking, what will be the simplest farm ever? And I came up with this design using only trapdoors that trick witches of thinking they can walk on them, and using their natural mob wandering ability to drop them down to their death. You might be saying, but this would take ages for them to decide to jump down. But it is actually faster than you may think. I actually measured the performance of this farm and it produces rather surprising 5000 items per hour. The only problem, a big problem, with this design, which makes it actually one of the toughest designs to build, is the fact that mobs only spawn more than 24 blocks away from the player, but they wander only less than 32 blocks away from the player, meaning we only have a layer of 8 blocks wide for the farm to be effective. In fact, because top and the bottom floor are 7 blocks apart, there are only 2 possible AFK locations, located precisely 24 blocks above the top spawning platform and 24 blocks below the bottom platform. So for this farm to be effective, you need to light up absolutely all spawning spaces outside of the witch farm within 128 blocks perimeter, which would take much longer than just choosing any other design and AFKing at Y160. But it is an interesting concept nonetheless. Second interesting experiment is to answer one of the comments of the previous video. Could you use golems to kill the witches? Trust me, I did it before, but instead of dead witches, I came across a very interesting and rather amusing behavior, so I thought I will show it here. We are in a blank witch hut, and I will spawn an iron golem here in the middle of the middle floor. You may realize that the golem eventually recognizes witches as enemies, but they will start drinking their health potions, making them safe from golem attacks. Some of the witches would eventually start throwing poison and harming potions at the golem, which would kill them but also aggravate other witches against each other. After a short period of time, the golem is dead and witches start infinite loop where they would start fighting with each other, but since they prioritize their own health, they would not die from it. This scene here could literally last for hours, and the only way to stop it is to somewhat drop all the witches to death or simply let them respawn when a player moves more than 128 blocks away from the witch hut. Interesting concept for a farm, but even more interesting reason why it wouldn't work. That's all what I have prepared for today. Thank you for watching. If you liked it, please subscribe, leave a like and leave a comment down in the comment area and share with others. See you in the next one. Bye bye.